Okay. Mm, mm, you're a strange animal, that's what I know. You're a strange animal, I have to follow. Spiritus Sanctus, you're a strange animal, that's what I know. Hello, Internet. It is I, StarScream, the ruler of the galaxy, and I've come back again, of course, to answer two questions. Only two, and that's okay, but two is it for now. Um, Hopefully you'll answer me more questions in the future. That'd be great. I I suppose I'll get into it. I have my first question is from Chris Pilot. Chris Pilot, and he asks me on Facebook, what did you do to Arc Evil, by the way? A little bit coffee today. I think I can talk. What did you do to Arc Evil? So Dr. Arc Evil was a character in the original series, and he seemed to be a mad scientist who was already slightly obsessed with cybernetic technology. I think that's the kind of thing where he probably, used to work for DARPA and got bored of creating algorithms and spy equipment and started attaching technological features to his brain. Anyway, Dr. Arc Evil in in a particular episode, he builds a exponential generator, is what it's called, an exponential generator. And in the episode, he warned StarScream not to fiddle with it because it could destroy the whole planet Earth. And so therefore, StarScream quickly and eagerly reprograms the generator to reach its maximum potential and explode as soon as possible, or within a few hours. And during that time, StarScream takes Dr. Arc Evil to the planet Cybertron, awaiting the Earth's destruction. Apparently, StarScream can just gather up all the explosive energy from the whole planet blowing up and take it. So anyways, Dr. Arc Evil finds out what StarScream has done, and he tries to fiddle with a machine on Cybertron and gets electrocuted, I guess. And then he wakes up later on, and he finds that more of his body has been worked on by StarScream and some of StarScream's minions. And he has this like mechanical body that he can't really use because he's not a transformer. And so he looks kind of goofy, and he's in like a wheelchair for life or something because he can't move the rest of his mechanical body. And he's really a rather Frankensteinian cyborg at that point. And his body is too heavy to lift. And what goes on Earth is that Prime and Megatron, they find the exponential generator and they actually work together to stop it from exploding. And they do this by taking the core, the bright shiny core of the machine, and putting it into the gun barrel of Megatron, and Prime shoots the Megatron gun and the explosion goes off in outer space. And it just so happens, by all coincidence, that StarScream is actually heading back to the planet Earth at that point in time, expecting the explosion to go off or something, and this explosion happens right where StarScream is. And StarScream survives, of course. And as for Arc Evil, well, I didn't really want to tell you what happens to Arc Evil so much as I wanted to examine his name, because it might be more revealing. His name, Arc Evil, which is comprised of two words, Arc, meaning a vessel of salvation, and evil, meaning a transgression or a break in the order of things. And I think somehow his character, he sort of, he doesn't exactly save the Earth, but maybe he saves himself because he had such evil intents that he had to somehow find salvation through transgression. Anyways, I hope that answers your question. I do tend to be a fan of the original show, even though it has a lot of continuity problems and it has a lot of, well, baffling, unconnected story. The rhythm is all screwed up. If it were a song, it would be sung by an autistic monkey with a bucket on its head. So hopefully that answers your question, Chris. My next question comes from a Jonathan Rawlsley, and he's on Facebook, on my Facebook page. And he asks me, how do you deal with the fact that Death Battle made you lose to a My Little Pony? So Death Battle is, it's sort of one of these like YouTubers that make funny videos that are somewhat satirical and a little bit of a put down to the original 80s icons, if you will. And I should say, I think the Death Battle guys did a really good job. I respect them for their work ethic. I only put so much work into my videos. But I'd also have to say that the real battle that's going on is a battle on good storytelling. Because you take two characters that don't belong together because they belong within a proper story, where there is no version where StarScream is ever going to have to fight a battle with a rainbow pony, and a rainbow pony is never going to have to fight a transforming robot. It's just not built into the story. And if it was within the story, then it wouldn't have resulted in such a video game style of imagery. And I find a lot of things these days are like a video game, or at least a lot of people are into video games these days, and I don't think that's a particularly good thing. I think people should certainly know that video games were created by military analysts and CIA types back in like the 70s. They were looking at the Vietnam War, and they were worried that there were a lot of conscientious objectors still kicking around, and silly hippies, and there were a lot of soldiers that couldn't kill another human being. Of course, that was a drafted war, so you get all different types. I find that most soldiers these days are there because they want to volunteer, they want to engage, they know who their enemy is, and they're very good soldiers. But nonetheless, video games were created to take away a certain moral conscience in the sheep, or soldiers, if you will. And the sheep have been playing video games ever since. And I'm not sure they have any idea what's going on in the rest of the world, but nonetheless, I wrote here, forcing two fictional characters to fight out of place or context in Death Battle, it singularly or situationally kills their stories and thereby their meaning and message and value. Although little harm is done, at least contextually, because it's out of story, so it doesn't hurt the original stories or the potential stories. I've never really considered what a potentially good story is about My Little Ponies, but I do have storyboards for Transformers and such, and I can tell you what a proper story would do with StarScream, and he wouldn't be fighting a little gay pony girl. Well, I'm sure she's not gay, but in the biblical sense, she's happy, that kind of thing. I don't know what else to tell you. I mean, I guess maybe you were hoping I would give you a blow-by-blow feedback, like what happens at every 3 seconds of the battle, like, oh, look at this, oh, look at that. I think the people who made the Death Battle were pretty good at pointing out that StarScream in throughout the various canons and shows, that StarScream had a sort of immortal quality, that he had a sort of a soul or something, which is ridiculous. At least in my work, the Transformers don't have a soul, okay? But, all different kinds of people, all different kinds of stories, as they say. And that's about all I wrote, I guess. I did like the missile tits. I hope that answers your question, Jonathan. what else can I say? Well, I think that people out there should continue to ask me questions. I think that you should definitely give me feedback. You know, I find this problem with the internet that a lot of times people don't necessarily give you good feedback or engaging feedback. They just sort of, if they don't like something, then they ignore you, and or they attack you in some way. And I like critical feedback. You know, tell me what you think, and I'll take it into consideration. And maybe I'll do something other than answering questions. You know, maybe I'll find my own questions on the internet that need answering, and I'll answer them without particularly concerning myself with whether or not those people wanted me to answer their questions. I'll just find questions. That seems devious to me, but I don't know, maybe. Who knows? Hopefully you've enjoyed my time, and we'll do it again. Ask me, StarScream, a question. Ask me anything. It doesn't have to be about Transformers. It can be, that's fine, I understand. You all want to know. Ask me something, and I will tell you the answer. I know everything, so, you know, you should ask me something. I mean, how many opportunities do you have to ask someone a question who knows everything? I mean, you know, ruler of the galaxy, I know everything. So, anyways, I'll see you again. Flap, flap, flap.